Bubba Wallace is not Jussie Smollett. And if that pisses you off, just get ready, because this video is going to be full of things that is going to piss you off. Piss a lot of people off, actually. I'm expecting that this video will not be very well received, because I'm going to be lighting a lot of people up about this situation, because there's not a lot of people who look good. There is some good that has come out of this situation, but there is a lot of things that are not good. And the one that I'm particularly upset about are the people who are comparing Bubba Wallace in any way to Jussie Smollett. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm going to talk about the new situation in NASCAR, what has come to light today with the FBI, and I'm probably going to cuss. This is going to be a lot of stream of consciousness. I'm a little bit upset about this whole situation. So if that bothers you, now's the time to go. So here's the deal. We found out today, based on the FBI investigation into the alleged noose that was allegedly found by a Richard Petty Motorsports employee in the garage area at Talladega Superspeedway, that it was not an intentionally racist or hateful symbol. It was literally just a knot tied on a garage door to pull it down when the car needs to be protected at night. And it was the only one that was like that, and there had been photographic evidence that had surfaced that this had been around for months and months in the garage area at Talladega Superspeedway. Bubba Wallace had nothing to do with this. Bubba Wallace did not hoax this. Bubba Wallace did not encourage this. He did not tie that knot. He did not do any of this. And the fact that people would suggest it, at best, is ignorant. And at worst, it's goddamn racist. Okay? It pisses me off. Because if we learned one thing yesterday, you don't mess with a race car driver. Okay? No matter who he is, no matter what he is. You don't mess with him. The people on social media who are suggesting that Bubba Wallace was a bad actor at all in this situation are wrong. 1,000%. Okay? And the fact that this is the situation that it is, and there were some mistakes, bad mistakes made by NASCAR. Things have gotten worse for the black driver in NASCAR, the one black driver in NASCAR. At a time where it looked like things were getting better, he's going to have to deal with more shit on social media because of this. It's so unfair. And he had to also deal this weekend with all of that media pressure, and not the least of which, the fact that he thought he was threatened by somebody within the garage area for speaking out against racism. Are you kidding me? And now he's got to play completely the opposite side now. Now he's got to defend himself for literally doing nothing except for showing up to do his effing job at his effing home track. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm going to be a little bit less angry now, because there was some good that came out of this situation. Let's not deny that. Had this been real, the NASCAR community came together in a way that showed such incredible solidarity. You're not going to be able to take that moment away entirely, because as far as anybody within the garage knew, as far as any of the drivers in the sport knew, this was a real, credible threat. Richard Petty, the king of NASCAR, 200 wins in the sport. One of the most famous drivers. And a driver who was around when NASCAR was a lot different. Personally flew to Talladega amidst the pandemic. He's in the high-risk category. He doesn't go to Talladega when he can all avoid it for personal reasons. A friend of his was killed at the track. But he came to show solidarity with his black driver when it looked like someone had threatened him on the basis of racism. What's good as well, that this was not a real noose, is the fact that this wasn't something that came from the NASCAR garage area. This wasn't even something that came from anybody who worked at Talladega Superspeedway. And yeah, there were people protesting with the rebel flag. But I think if we use our thinking brain, there is a gap, okay, between waving your stupid rag around outside of the track, that's freedom of speech, versus making a threat, okay? The fact that there wasn't a threat, a noose, a weapon, a device that's used to kill people, okay? The fact that that wasn't a symbol that was made is relieving, to say the least. What isn't relieving is how NASCAR handled this situation. To say they jumped the gun would be an understatement. And this is something I probably should have spoken out about a little bit earlier, but it wasn't politically correct to say. And that's something that I'm going to say, make a point of later in this video, because social media activism is not activism. Okay? What we saw yesterday, that was real activism. The drivers pushing Bubba Wallace's car to the head of the grid, the teams walking in solidarity behind him, the Richard Petty arrival, the tribute by Fox Sports, the outpouring of support for Bubba Wallace. That was real. Changing your damn profile picture to a black square, that is nothing. Putting out a statement about how bad racism is because your brand needs to put that out. No. It might make people feel better, but it doesn't actually change anything. The real change is in the real world. And what I'm afraid happened here, again, it was well-intentioned. I don't want to be misinterpreted here. I don't think NASCAR went into this, because I think some people were being really skeptical about this and saying, oh, NASCAR did this to try to get better TV ratings. And while I'm sure that factored in somewhat to their kind of doubling down on making sure that they are inclusive to black people and make sure that they do not feel threatened at racetracks, I don't think that was their primary motive. I genuinely think there were good intentions here. The problem is sometimes something that's well-intentioned can have really bad consequences. And the fact that NASCAR tried to get ahead of this before the investigation was complete and made a statement about the noose in the garage really put them in a bad position. Really, really bad. Because while we did get, again, that solidarity with the entire NASCAR community coming together, what was the cost? Because a lot of the people whose minds you wanted to change have now had their confirmation bias confirmed. Okay? And a lot of people, I mean, that's just the bad thing. This is one of the worst PR nightmares I've ever seen, not even just a sports organization, an organization, period, make. And, we're all guilty of this, I think. Many, many of us. Not everybody, but so many of us jumped the gun on this. So many of us jumped to conclusions. So many of us were not unwilling to hear some legitimate evidence that was brought forward from people because they were wearing red hats. And that's got to stop. We're never going to make anything better in this nation if we're not willing to listen to everybody, even if they say things that we disagree with. And I'm not saying that that's not happening on the other side too, because it definitely is. We wouldn't be having this conversation about don't be a racist if there were people who weren't being thick-headed all over the place. But I don't know, man. None of this looks good. And again, the guy who really, really got screwed by this is Bubba Wallace. The guy who is the absolute last person who should be receiving any more kind of flack. I can't believe that people are comparing him to a F-list actor trying to fake a hate crime for publicity. I can't believe people think so low of Bubba Wallace. I don't know, man. This is sad. This whole situation, most of it. Again, what happened yesterday hasn't really been changed. I think what you did see is how NASCAR, and when I'm saying NASCAR, I don't mean necessarily the organization. I mean the people within NASCAR would react if such a heinous act was going to be perpetrated. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'm sure you already have. And I'll see you in the next video to talk about more.